Hello and welcome back to Wellywood Wargaming. My name is Damon, and in this video I'm going to be heading back to Necromunda and doing a follow-up to my video that I did previously a couple of weeks ago on scenarios, where I gave a sort of general overview as to what scenarios are in Necromunda, how to use them, what's contained within them, why you might want to use them, and just the whole shebang really on scenarios. This time, however, I'm going to go and give you my 10 sort of favourites so far. Now we are up to an awful lot. I think we're at 140 odd something now, including the sort of Apocrypha stuff and the White Dwarf stuff. There are so many different ways that you can play this game, and the wealth of scenarios that you've got in this really are what keep me playing it and keep coming back to Necromunda. Anyway, I've managed to choose 10 out of the 130 to 140 that we've got of the ones that I've played. Now, I haven't played every single scenario, of course, but I have played nearly all of them. I'm not sure which ones I haven't played, but I've done a pretty good job of getting through them, I must say. And when I play games, I tend to try and do as much within that game as I can possibly do, just to get a greater experience of it, I suppose. But anyway, before I get into the actual specifics of it, please do smash the like, share, subscribe buttons, and consider supporting my Patreon as well, at Wellywood Wargaming, where you can obviously help more directly as well, and making more of these videos, of course, going forwards. Anyway, let's have a look at it. We've got 10 here, and I'm going to go through them in sort of chronological order, actually. This is scenario 14 we're going to start with. Now, I'm not going to put them in order of which ones I like the most, but you probably gather which ones I do like the most just from the way I talk about them. Now, this first one is Downtown Dust Up, scenario 14. This one's a really cool one. It totally can be played as a multiplayer scenario, but just bear in mind that you're going to need a lot of models for this one. The reason being is that this one centers around 2 gangs or more fighting in a very dense populated area where you've actually got hive dwellers and citizens going about their business, doing their thing. So the idea of this scenario, I'm not going to give you too much specific stuff, but you've got a random amount of fighters turning up on both or whichever side. And you've also got a whole bunch of hive dwellers represented by models of your choosing. You could use Forge World, hive scum, things like that. But these guys are basically just civilians, really poor stats, armed with just stub guns. And what you've got to do is take out the enemy, take out each other, and try and avoid to take out and kill the hive dwellers, of course. And that's how you lose rep and lose the game as well. In fact, in the victory conditions here, it does say if at least half of the hivers have been taken out of action or are broken, it is a draw. Otherwise, the winner is the gang with fighters left on the battlefield. So really, you've really got to avoid shooting and hurting these hive dwellers. It's quite easy to scare them as well. In fact, if you do several things nearby them, on a 1 to 2, they shoot the nearest fighter with a stub gun. On a 3 to 4, nothing happens, and on a 5 to 6, they become broken and run away. So, obviously, if more than half of them have been broken or taken out of action, then that's where you've got problems with this scenario and winning it, at least. But just a really good fun one. It's nice to involve other miniatures that you've got in your collection as well that you might not be able to field that often. And it gives you lots of scope to be able to convert and kit bash some cool miniatures up for this particular scenario. So highly recommend this one. It doesn't have a huge amount of credit rewards and stuff, but it's just a really fun one. Again, I don't really care about the winnings and stuff in a lot of these scenarios. I just prefer playing the more narrative, more fun, fluffy ones, I suppose. The next one is scenario number 20, and that is Fighter Down. This one's really cool as well. You've got a clear attacker and defender in this one. The crews are random D3 plus 2 plus reinforcements. The attacking crew must include a random ganger or juve to be the wounded fighter. So with this one gang is escorting a wounded fighter off the field, and you've really got to try and get this wounded fighter, drag them off the edge of the table before the attacker obviously gets you, and you've got reinforcements in this one as well. Now, there are special rules for the wounded fighter, but I won't go into those in too much detail, but we've also got special rules for carrion creatures as well, so these carrion creatures can attack you if you're not careful. And it's just a really fun one. Again, very narrative based, very fluffy one, and just really cool. In some of the old Games Workshop games, you used to get sort of prone and injured miniatures as well, so it'd be cool to see if someone has maybe made some 3D printed injured fighters for this scenario that you could use as well. But I really like this one as well. It is a little bit one-sided, if I'm honest, and it's quite hard to actually, get your fighter off this. But again, I'm all about the fluffy fun ones, to be honest. And that was Fighter Down. I'm not sure which books those two are from, actually, but yeah, I'll have to look it up and put it down in the comments, I think. The next one, Scenario 34, is MANUFACTORUM Raid. Or MANUFACTORUM Raid, sorry. This one's really cool as well. You've got an attacker and defender in this one too. The attacker has a custom whole crew pretty much, and the defender has random D3 plus 5 plus reinforcements. I'm not going to go into the tactics cards and stuff with this one either, but that really depends on the type of group that you play with and your arbitrator in these as well. But this one revolves around setting down bombs. So you've got to actually put, I believe it is 3 bombs. It's a double action to plant a bomb, and you gain XP for actually planting the bombs as well, but you've got to blow up some shit basically. So really cool one. Again, I'm not going to go into the specifics of why it's good, but it involves bombs and stuff can get blown up, and you can get blown up in the process too, and it's just lots and lots of calamity in this one as well. So highly recommend that one too. That was number 3. The next one we're looking at, and one of my absolute all-time favourites here, is a sort of alternative to the rescue mission. This one is public execution. So if you want to play the rescue mission, this is another version of it. It's basically the same sort of thing, but public execution, Scenario 44, I think has a bit more flavour. Basically, there is a gang member who's been captive by one of the gangs, and you are going to execute them. The clock runs down throughout the game until that fighter is executed, and of course the rescuing gang has to stop them from being hanged or beheaded or whatever nasty gruesome thing it is. I did do a battle report on this one where I had Redemptionist versus Muties or Beastmen. Go and check that one out if you haven't seen it already. I did a narrative sort of battle report on that one. We'll see who won that one, the Redemptionists or the Beastmen. But yeah, that's a really cool one. You've got a clock and a countdown. It's all very stressful, but it's really, really fun. Of course, if it's, your gang leader that's at stake there, maybe not so much fun, but if it's just a Juve or something, it can be a really fluffy and great scenario to play that one. The next one is, of course, Meat. It's actually spelt with about 10 E's. This is in the Uprising campaign, this one, and I believe, in fact, so was Public Execution. This one's Scenario 50, and it's just awesome. So this is a big multiplayer. You can play this with as many gangs as you like. It's random D3, so you're only going to get 1, 2, or 3 fighters each. And basically, the entire premise of this one is that you've got to... It's last man standing against a horde of crazed cannibals. The cannibals themselves are just ridiculously good. They just run at you. They've not got great stats, but they've all got true grit, unstoppable, nerves of steel. They can't be pinned and stuff. And you just got to take out as many of these guys as possible and try and survive the battle. Really, really good fun. You can also make different versions of this as well. You could do it with Brainleaf Zombies. You could do it with all sorts of stuff, to be honest. You don't have to do it with crazed cannibals, but this is a really good template for making a really fun, fluffy, perhaps mid to end campaign narrative sort of vibe there as well. And that is Meat. The next one, and in the similar sort of vein actually, is Meat for the Grinder. I actually do have written a scenario that's quite similar to this before this actually came out, which was basically Battle Royale, if you've seen the film Battle Royale. This one is really similar, Meat for the Grinder. So the 3 lowest rated fighters in each gang, so usually your Juves or your gangers that have been injured and stuff, are going to take part in this one. And they come with nothing, I believe. Nothing at all. And this, again, is another multiplayer. All fighters are considered to have true grit, iron jaw, and unstoppable when they come into it. And they've got to scavenge weaponry from loot crates and things like that. They can get anything from heavy stubbers, auto pistols, stiletto knives, power axes, and it's pretty much last man standing on this one as well. The rewards are pretty good, certainly in terms of the experience in that one as well, but just really, really fun, really fluffy. Like I said, it feels like Battle Royale, the film. So yeah, really cool. Kind of Hunger Games vibe, that one. Yeah, very good. And I've seen that one go right down to the wire numerous times. Really, really recommend that one. The next one is Back from the Dead. Now, this one is actually one of the Escher scenarios. It's really, really interesting. It is about a Death Maiden who is sort of, or a new Death Maiden who has sort of risen on the battlefield and is trying to make their way off the battlefield, I believe. Now, this doesn't have to be played, again, none of these scenarios have to be played strictly as is. You could totally tweak this one and make it any fighter. It doesn't have to be a Death Maiden, but it is designed to be a Death Maiden from a narrative perspective. But again, you could do this with any fighter, that last, last survivor or whatever. But you just have, the attacker only has that one fighter, the defender has a random 10 split into 2 groups, custom 5 sentries and custom 5 reinforcements. And basically what happens is, as the battle goes on, you get more and more actions depending on the amount of turns. The attacker gets more and more actions. So it's pretty cool. It's hard to explain this one, but yeah, in each round, the attacking fighter can take a number of activations equal to the current round number, can activate twice in the second round, 3 times in round 3, and so forth. The enemy will be able to activate a fighter in between as normal before the attacking fighter can activate again. The activation still only has 2 actions as normal. If the attacking fighter is seriously injured, the result is automatically a flesh wound. In the recovery phase, no need to roll. So it's basically Rambo. You're just an absolute hard bastard, and you've just got to survive in this one against 10 dudes or dudettes. So yeah, really fun, that one. I've only played it once, I believe, that one. But again, like I said, any of these can be tweaked and twisted into your own sort of little narrative there. But just really, really cool, inventive scenario there. So down to the last 3 now. Scenario 74, this is Dome Rush. Now this was one of the White Dwarf hangers-on scenarios. I think it was White Dwarf anyway. And this is the Dome Runner. Sorry, not Dome Runner. Is it Dome Runner? Yeah, I think it's Dome Runner. There was a ammo jack and there was a dock one. This is the Dome Runner one. Dome Rush is really, really cool. Basically, you set up on either side. It's a custom 10, so you'll have 2 gangs, custom 10. You could even do this multiplayer as well, but it would just be absolute nuts. But yeah, the winner of a roll-off chooses a battlefield corner. That's deployment and stuff. And then basically you have a Dome Runner in the middle, and you take it in turns based on priority to control the Dome Runner. And the Dome Runner can do several things. It can't be taken out at all, by the way. But the Dome Runner can either place a loot casket or any type of booby trap. In fact, you can place a loot casket and a booby trap, so it's just insane. You can have like melter bombs all over the field of play, and loads of loot caskets as well. It's just an absolute nuts, this one, but it really does depend on dice. It can be pretty random. I've played this before where I've just had priority every single turn, and that's just the way of it, unfortunately. But yeah, if it's more even, it can be really fun, that one. Down to the last 2 now. We've got scenario 90, and this is Market Mayhem. I believe this is from Book of the Outcast. Yes, it is. Market Mayhem's really, really good. It's kind of similar to the one that we had earlier with Downtown Dust Up, except you haven't got hivers in this one. You have got an actual market. Now, when you're outside the market, you can kind of behave normally and use your weapons normally. But if you're anywhere in the market, you can't do certain things. So you can't use heavy weapons. You can't use ranged weapons that are strength 6 or over. You can't use any blast or templates. You can't use rapid fire. It's just single shot. And you can't coup de grace either, so you have to behave yourself in the market, but you can also loot to absolute craziness in the market as well. So this is a really good one. It's got really high risk, high reward in it. It means you pretty much start the game pretty in each other's faces. However, if you aren't looking to kill each other only, then you can certainly get some really good looting by looting all the the stalls and stuff in the market. So that's a really good one. I particularly like playing that one just because you can get some really neat stuff from looting the Underhive market there as well. The last one that we're going to talk about here is from the Ash Wastes book, and that is scenario 103, and that is Bone Road Death Race. So I'm sure many of you know about this one. This is one of the rolling road scenarios. Now, what that means, if you're not familiar with it, this one includes vehicles, of course. This is the only one I've actually put in here that's got vehicles, but this one's great. Rolling roads is basically, it's a huge death race. You've got to try and make it from one side to the other. And because the back end of the scenery basically gets removed each turn, and you get new scenery at the front, so the board keeps on going, keeps on rolling. It's kind of hard to articulate what I'm saying there, but I think you know what I mean anyway. But that's rolling roads. It utilises that. You've also got really poor visibility, and as the game goes on, different sort of factors come into play as well. Like in turn 1 and 2, you've got impassable sides. 3 and 4, you've got open sides, and then by the end of it, you've got ash crust. So models moving less than 8 inches during the activation go out of action, suffering a lasting injury. So it's pretty brutal, this one, but really, really cool. You can use loads of bikes and all sorts of stuff in this one. It's very, very Mad Max indeed, and just some high rewards here with 46 times 10 credits and lots of experience and reputation in there too. So anyway, that was the long and short of it. I just thought I'd give you 10 examples of scenarios that I'd certainly recommend that you play. There are many others, but narrowing it down to 10 was actually kind of hard. But anyway, that's 10 that I've got there. And once more, yes, please do like, share, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace out.